Welcome to our channel, and today another story, another truth that cannot be ignored.
They said he'd never make the team. Too small, too slow, too black for their precious track program. But what happened next would leave an Olympic sprinter questioning everything he thought he knew about speed, heart, and the power of proving people wrong. I'm about to tell you a story that will make you believe in the impossible. A story about 14-year-old Jamal Washington, who turned pure humiliation into the most incredible display of athletic prowess ever witnessed. This isn't just about running fast. This is about running toward destiny when the whole world bets against you. Before we continue, please support our new channel and hit the subscribe button. We publish new stories daily. Don't let them go unheard. So, Lincoln High School, suburban Connecticut, 2019. The track team had exactly 3 black athletes out of 42 members. Coach Henderson had been building champions for 23 years. And somehow, those champions always looked exactly the same. White, privileged, connected to families who could afford private coaching and summer camps. Jamal Washington was none of those things. Transfer student from the inner city, living with his grandmother after his mother lost her job. Sneakers with holes, hand-me-down shorts from his older cousin. But what Jamal had that money couldn't buy was fire in his belly and lightning in his legs. First day of tryouts, I watched Jamal walk onto that track. The other kids stared, not impressed, shocked that someone like him had the audacity to show up. The whispers, "Who's the new kid? Think he's fast? Probably thinks he can just walk on because, Yeah, we all knew. Coach Henderson barely looked up from his clipboard. "You here for tryouts, son?" The way he said "son" wasn't fatherly, it was dismissive, already planning to cut him before seeing him run a single step. "Yes, sir. I'd like to try out for sprints." Henderson finally looked up, taking in Jamal's worn gear and lean frame. 5'6", maybe 130 pounds soaking wet. "Sprints, huh? We'll see what you got." Coach Henderson had all hopefuls run a casual 100-meter dash. Nothing official, just to gauge talent. Returning varsity guys jogged through it. New kids pushed hard, trying to impress. Jamal ran like his life depended on it. He exploded from the starting line with impossible power from his small frame. Form was raw, but natural. Arms pumping, legs churning, eating ground with every stride. When he crossed the finish line, absolute silence. Even cocky seniors stopped talking. Henderson clicked his stopwatch, frowned, clicked again, shook it. "Must be broken," he muttered. But I saw the time, 11.2 seconds. Casual run, borrowed spikes too big, track he'd never seen before. That should have been Jamal's moment. Should have been when Henderson realized he had something extraordinary. Instead, the coach shrugged. "Not bad, Washington. We'll see how you handle real training." The other kids noticed, and they didn't like it. Next 2 weeks, I watched Jamal endure hell. Accidental shoulder checks in hallways, water bottle mysteriously missing during practice, snide comments about urban running style, and jokes about needing to steal his speed. Henderson either didn't see it or didn't care. When Jamal consistently posted fastest practice times, the coach criticized his form, attitude, coachability. When others false started, it was nerves. When Jamal did it, lack of discipline. 3 weeks in, Henderson posted the varsity roster. Jamal's name wasn't on it. I'll never forget that kid's face. Not anger, that came later. Not surprise. Just bone-deep disappointment that said he'd hoped for better but expected exactly this. "Coach," Jamal approached Henderson after practice, "I don't understand. My times are faster than half the varsity guys." Henderson didn't look up from organizing equipment. "Times aren't everything, Washington. This is about being a team player, fitting our system. Maybe JV this year. Learn the ropes. Learn the ropes. Code for know your place. Something shifted in Jamal's eyes. Disappointment hardened into something dangerous. What if I could prove I belong on varsity? Henderson looked up annoyed. Son, I've been coaching longer than you've been alive. I know talent when I see it. Then let me race your fastest guy right here, right now. If I win, I get his spot. The entire team gathered, sensing drama. Henderson's star sprinter, Brad Morrison, 6'2", college-bound, cocky as hell, stepped forward smirking. You want to race me, little man? I ran 10.8 at regionals last year. Jamal looked Brad up and down, turned back to Henderson. One race, winner takes the varsity spot. Henderson should have shut it down, should have recognized this was more than running. But pride and prejudice make people stupid.
Fine, 100 meters. But when you lose, Washington, I don't want another word about varsity. Deal? Jamal nodded. Deal. As they lined up, my heart pounded. This wasn't just a race. This was David and Goliath. Every underestimated kid ever told they weren't good enough. This was about justice. The entire team gathered along the track, some rooting for Brad, the safe bet, but I saw younger kids quietly hoping for the impossible. Runners, take your mark. The silence was deafening. Every heartbeat, every breath, every whispered prayer audible. Jamal crouched in borrowed spikes, muscles coiled like springs, every fiber focused on the next 10 seconds that would define his future. Brad looked relaxed, almost bored. In his mind, this wasn't even real, just a teaching moment to put the new kid in his place. Set, go! The gun cracked like thunder. Both runners exploded from blocks. First 20 meters, dead even. Brad's longer stride matched Jamal's explosive acceleration, step for step. The crowd went wild. Nobody expected it this close. Then something magical happened. Something that defied every assumption, every prejudice, every limitation placed on Jamal Washington. He found another gear. 30 meters, Jamal pulled ahead half a step. 50 meters, full step. 70 meters, Brad Morrison, recruited by 3 Division I colleges, was getting smoked by a 14-year-old in borrowed equipment. I've seen many races, but never anything like Jamal's final 30 meters. He didn't just run faster, he transformed. Stride lengthened, form became perfect, moved with grace and power that seemed supernatural. Like watching a young cheetah discover it could fly. Jamal crossed 3 meters ahead of Brad. 3 meters. In 100-meter sprints, that's 3 miles. Profound silence followed. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even wind held its breath. Henderson stared at his stopwatch like it betrayed him. Clicked off, on, shook it, held to ear. Finally, barely above a whisper, 10.4 seconds. 10.4 seconds. 14 years old. Borrowed spikes. Practice track. Jamal had just run a time that would win most state championships, faster than some previous Olympic qualifying standards.
Brad stood gasping, staring at Jamal like he'd witnessed a miracle, which he had. That's impossible, Brad stammered. Nobody runs 10.4 without proper training, equipment, proper... He didn't finish, but we knew. Proper breeding, background, color. Jamal wasn't even breathing hard. Walked back with quiet dignity, eyes locked on Henderson. Do I make varsity now, coach? Henderson's face cycled through 6 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, disbelief, anger, fear, finally, reluctant respect. He was trapped. In front of the entire team, he'd made a deal. Jamal had delivered the most spectacular performance in school history. Yes, you make varsity. But I could see wheels turning in Henderson's head. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Word of Jamal's incredible run spread through school like wildfire. Kids who'd never cared about track suddenly asked about meet schedules. Local newspaper wanted a story. College scouts started making calls. But with attention came backlash. "He must be on something," parents whispered at the next meet. "Kids don't just run times like that naturally. Maybe his age is wrong on transcripts. You know how it is with these transfer students. Never direct, never provable, but hanging in the air like poison. Every success questioned, every achievement diminished by whispered doubts about legitimacy." Henderson didn't openly participate in speculation. He did something worse. He tried to control Jamal's talent. "Washington, I want you running 200 and 400, Henderson announced, before the next meet. "We need depth in longer distances." Jamal looked confused. "Coach, my best event is the 100. That's where I can score most points." "I'm the coach, son. I decide where you run." Pure power play. Henderson couldn't deny Jamal's talent anymore, but he could minimize its impact. Put him in events where explosive speed would be less dominant. Keep him from becoming the star his 100-meter time suggested.
But Jamal was learning these games. "Yes, sir, coach. I'll run whatever helps the team win." Next meet against biggest rival, Westfield Prep. Their legendary program had produced multiple state champions, several Olympic trials qualifiers. Their coach, Maria Santos, had followed Jamal's story in local papers. Seeing him warm up for 200 meters instead of 100, she approached Henderson puzzled. "Jim, what are you doing? That kid ran 10.4 last week, and you're not putting him in the 100? Henderson's jaw tightened. "I'm developing him as a complete athlete, Maria. The 100 is just one event." Santos looked at him like he'd lost his mind. That kid could break the state record in the 100. Hell, the national high school record. And you're worried about making him complete? That's when I realized something chilling. Henderson wasn't developing Jamal. He was hiding him, keeping him from success that would make Henderson's previous decisions look foolish. Preventing him from becoming so dominant, people would ask uncomfortable questions about why it took a public challenge for him to make the team. But talent like Jamal's can't be hidden. Even in the 200, even without proper distance training, he dominated. Won by 15 meters, ran a time qualifying him for state meet. After the race, Santos approached Jamal directly. "Son, what's your name?" "Jamal Washington, ma'am." "Jamal, I've coached 25 years, never seen raw talent like yours. Are you happy with your current situation?" Jamal glanced at Henderson, who pretended not to watch. "I'm grateful for the opportunity to compete, ma'am." Santos smiled. "Diplomatic answer. But let me ask something else. Do you know Marcus Johnson?" My heart stopped. Marcus Johnson, Olympic gold medalist in 100 meters, world record holder, fastest man alive for 3 years running. Scheduled to appear at the Metro Track Festival the following weekend, event where high school athletes could compete alongside college and professional runners. "Yes, ma'am, I know who he is." "He's at the Metro Track Festival next Saturday. Open 100-meter race. Any high school athlete can enter." She paused. "I think you should consider it." Henderson quickly inserted himself. "Hold on, Maria. Jamal's not ready for that level. He needs more training, experience."
"Jim," Santos said quietly, "that boy just ran 21.8 in the 200 with no distance training. He's ready for whatever he wants to be ready for." That night, Jamal told his grandmother about the conversation, about the opportunity to race Marcus Johnson, fastest man in the world. His grandmother, who'd worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table, never missed one of Jamal's meets, looked at her grandson with tears in her eyes. "Baby, your whole life, people will tell you what you can't do, try to make you smaller, slower, less than what God made you. But sometimes, the universe gives you a chance to show them who you really are. She reached into her purse, pulled out a crumpled envelope. I've been saving every penny from cleaning jobs. Was going to buy you proper spikes for next season. Inside, $200 in small bills, enough for Metro Track Festival entry fee. But maybe it's time to stop waiting for next season. The Metro Track Festival was unlike anything Jamal had experienced. Professional athletes warming up alongside college stars. Coaches with clipboards and stopwatches worth more than his grandmother's monthly rent. Electronic timing system looked like NASA equipment. And there, center of it all, was Marcus Johnson. 6'3" of pure athletic perfection, moving through warm-ups with fluid grace of someone who'd redefined speed. Tokyo Olympics gold medal caught afternoon sunlight as he stretched, every eye in the stadium drawn like magnets. Jamal stood at warm-up area edge in grandmother's hand-me-down tracksuit, clutching registration form, trying not to look as terrified as he felt. This wasn't high school anymore. This was stepping into the ring with the heavyweight champion. "You sure about this, kid?" Jamal turned to find middle-aged man with press badge. "I'm sorry?" "Tom Rodriguez, Track and Field News. Following your story since that 10.4. Pretty impressive for high schooler." He studied Jamal's nervous expression. But Marcus Johnson is different. He's run 9.58 in perfect conditions. "You sure you're ready?" Before Jamal could answer, familiar voice cut through crowd noise. "He's as ready as he'll ever be." Coach Santos approached with confident smile. "Tom, meet the future of American sprinting. Jamal, meet the man who'll write about your breakthrough."
Rodriguez raised eyebrow. "Bold prediction, Maria. 25 years coaching. I know lightning when I see it." As they talked, Jamal's eyes kept drifting to Marcus Johnson. Olympic champion went through pre-race routine with mechanical precision. High knees, butt kicks, practice starts. Everything screamed professional. Everything reminded Jamal how far he was from belonging here. Nervous? Jamal spun to find Marcus Johnson behind him, having finished warm-up. Up close, even more intimidating. Not just size, but quiet confidence radiating like heat from furnace. "Yes, sir. Very nervous." Marcus smiled. Suddenly didn't look like untouchable superstar. Looked like someone who remembered being young, scared, dreaming of something bigger. "Good. If you weren't nervous, would mean this didn't matter." He extended his hand. "Marcus Johnson." "Jamal Washington." I know who you are, sir. Watched every race on YouTube." "YouTube? Makes me feel old." Marcus chuckled, expression growing serious. "Heard about what happened at your school, having to race for your team spot." Jamal's cheeks burned. "You heard about that?" "Son, track world's smaller than you think. Word travels fast when someone runs 10.4 in borrowed spikes." Marcus paused carefully. "Also heard about some, challenges you've faced since. The accusations, whispered doubts, constant questioning of legitimacy." Jamal nodded, not trusting his voice. "Let me tell you something. I grew up Detroit inner city, just like you. When I first ran fast times, people said same things. He must be older, must be on something. Kids from that background don't run times like that naturally." Jamal looked up, surprised. "Really? Really? Know what I learned? Only way to silence doubters is run so fast, so consistently, even they can't deny what they're seeing." Marcus glanced toward starting line, where officials set up for the 100-meter race. "Today's your chance." "But what if I'm not fast enough? What if I embarrass myself?" Marcus put hand on Jamal's shoulder. "Son, you didn't come this far to only come this far. You've got something special. I see it in how you move, carry yourself. Question isn't whether you're fast enough. Question is whether you're brave enough to find out just how fast you really are." 20 minutes later, Jamal found himself lane 4, surrounded by some of the world's fastest men. Lane 5 held Marcus Johnson. Lane 3, former world champion. Lane 6, college senior who'd run 9.95 previous month. And there was Jamal, grandmother's lucky tracksuit, representing nobody but himself and the dream that carried him this far. Crowd had grown significantly once word spread the headline-making high school kid would actually race the Olympic champion. Camera phones everywhere, local news crews along home stretch. This wasn't just a race, it was an event. In stands, Jamal spotted his grandmother. 2 buses and 6 blocks walk to get here, wearing best church dress, clutching small American flag. Next to her, Coach Santos, who'd driven 3 hours just to watch. Even Lincoln High teammates showed up, including Brad Morrison, looking like he was seeing Jamal for the first time. Notably absent, Coach Henderson. "Gentlemen, this is the men's 100-meter dash," announcer boomed. "Lane 4, representing Lincoln High School, Jamal Washington. Lane 5, Olympic gold medalist and world record holder, Marcus Johnson." Crowd erupted. Jamal felt knees go weak. But as he prepared to remove his warm-ups, he caught Marcus Johnson's eye. The Olympic champion gave him a small nod. Not condescending, not pitying, respectful, like one competitor acknowledging another. The moment of truth had arrived. "Runners, remove your warm-ups." Jamal peeled off his tracksuit, revealing simple red and white Lincoln High uniform. Looked almost comically plain next to high-tech racing suits worn by professional athletes. But as he handed warm-ups to a volunteer, Marcus Johnson caught his eye again. The Olympic champion nodded. Not condescending, respectful. One competitor acknowledging another. "Runners, step up to the line." Jamal walked to the starting blocks on legs that felt like someone else's. Track stretched before him like a red river leading to destiny. 100 meters. 10 seconds, give or take. The shortest distance that could change a life forever.
He settled into blocks, adjusting one final time. Stadium noise faded to dull roar, then whispers, then nothing. In perfect silence, Jamal heard his grandmother's voice from years ago. "Baby, God don't make no mistakes. He gave you those legs for a reason." "Runners, take your mark." 8 fastest men in world crouched into starting positions. Jamal felt heart hammering against ribs, but hands were steady on track. Breathing controlled, mind clear. For first time since arriving, he wasn't thinking about Marcus Johnson or world records or proving anyone wrong. He was thinking about pure, simple joy of running fast, of feeling his body do what it was born to do. Set. Stadium fell completely silent. 40,000 people holding breath. Jamal raised hips, coiled muscles, prepared to discover what he was truly made of. In that frozen moment before the gun, he thought about every person who doubted him, every coach who'd overlooked him, every teammate who'd whispered behind his back, every assumption made about what a kid like him could or couldn't achieve. Then he thought about his grandmother, sitting in those stands in her best dress, believing in him with every fiber of her being. Bang! Starting gun exploded like thunderclap, and 8 men launched themselves into immortality. First 10 meters was chaos, bodies flying forward, spikes clawing track, arms and legs pumping in desperate synchronization. Jamal's start was perfect. Better than he'd ever managed, better than he'd dreamed possible. Came out of the blocks like shot from a cannon. But so did Marcus Johnson. 20 meters, dead even. Olympic champion and high school kid, stride for stride, dream for dream. Crowd on feet, screaming so loud sound became physical force pressing down on runners. 30 meters, Marcus began pulling ahead, just slightly, just enough to remind everyone why he was fastest man alive. Form flawless, stride length incredible, turnover rate like perfectly tuned machine.
Jamal should have been falling behind. Every law of physics, every principle of athletic development, every reasonable expectation said a 14-year-old couldn't match world's best sprinter step for step. But Jamal Washington had never been interested in what was reasonable.
40 meters, something magical happened, something that would be replayed on highlight reels for decades. Jamal found that extra gear again, supernatural ability to transcend limitations that first appeared racing Brad Morrison. But this time was different. This time wasn't just about running faster. It was about running with purpose. Every stride carried the weight of every doubt, every dismissal, every moment he'd been told he wasn't good enough. Every step powered by grandmother's sacrifices, Coach Santos's belief, his own unshakable faith that he belonged on this track. 50 meters, Jamal pulled even with Marcus again. Stadium erupted. This wasn't supposed to happen. Olympic champions don't get challenged by high school kids. World record holders don't find themselves in dogfights with teenagers wearing hand-me-down uniforms. But there they were, two men separated by age, experience, expectation, but united by pure, primal desire to be first across that line. 60 meters, Jamal took the lead. Marcus Johnson didn't panic. He'd been in enough races, faced enough challenges to know leads could disappear as quickly as they appeared. He dug deeper, found another level, pulled back even with the kid rewriting possibilities' laws with every step. 70 meters. 80 meters, still dead even. Crowd had gone beyond cheering into something approaching religious ecstasy. People crying, screaming, praying. In stands, Jamal's grandmother had hands clasped so tight, knuckles went white. Coach Santos on feet, shouting technical advice no one could hear over the roar. 90 meters, 10 left to run, Marcus Johnson did what champions do. Found one more gear, a final burst of speed that carried him to Olympic gold in world records. He pulled ahead half step. For a moment, looked like natural order would be restored. Professional would beat amateur. Experience triumph over youth. The story would end like stories usually end, valiant effort and moral victory. But Jamal Washington wasn't interested in moral victories. In those final 10 meters, that skinny kid from inner city did something defying every law of physics, every principle of athletic science, every reasonable expectation of human performance. He flew.
Not metaphorically, not poetically. He literally seemed to leave ground, stride lengthening impossibly, turnover rate increasing beyond humanly possible. Like watching someone discover superpowers in real time. 5 meters to go, Jamal pulled even again. 3 meters to go, he took the lead. When he crossed finish line, he was full step ahead of fastest man in world. The silence that followed was profound. 40,000 people struck speechless by what they'd witnessed. Even the electronic timing system seemed to pause, needing a moment to process what happened. Then the scoreboard lit up with numbers that would change everything. Lane 4, Jamal Washington, 9.47. Lane 5, Marcus Johnson, 9.52. 9.47 seconds. 14-year-old high school student had just broken the world record. Not high school record, not junior record, the world record. Fastest time ever recorded by human being. The stadium exploded, people jumping barriers, rushing onto track, camera crews sprinting toward the finish line. In stands, grown men weeping openly. Jamal stood at the finish line, staring at the scoreboard in complete disbelief. Legs felt like jelly, lungs burning, but heart was soaring. Marcus Johnson walked over, chest heaving from the effort. For a moment, Jamal thought the Olympic champion might be angry, feel cheated or diminished.
Instead, Marcus smiled the biggest smile Jamal had ever seen. "Son," he said, pulling Jamal into a bear hug, "I have been waiting my entire career to see someone run like that. That wasn't just fast, that was transcendent." The next hours were a blur. Drug tests passed with flying colors, interviews with reporters worldwide, phone calls from college coaches, professional agents, and Olympic officials. The president tweeted about him. Nike offered contract before he left the stadium. But the moment that mattered most when Jamal finally reached his grandmother in the stands. Still crying, still clutching a little American flag, still wearing best church dress. When she saw him coming, stood and opened arms. "I knew it," she whispered as he hugged her. "From the first time I saw you run in the backyard chasing that old dog, I knew you were special. I knew God had plans."
"We did it, Grandma. We actually did it." "No, baby," she said, pulling back to look at him with eyes full of pride and love. "You did it. You took every doubt, every obstacle, every person who said you weren't good enough and turned it into fuel. You didn't just run fast today, you ran toward your destiny." Aftermath was everything you'd expect and more. Jamal became an overnight sensation, subject of documentaries and books. Won multiple Olympic golds, broke his own world record 3 more times, became one of most beloved athletes in American history. Coach Henderson, he quietly asked to resign after it came out he'd tried keeping fastest human in history off varsity team. Now works at sporting goods store, tells anyone who listened about time he coached Jamal Washington. But real victory wasn't records or medals or fame. Real victory was what Jamal proved that day, that talent doesn't care about zip code, bank account, or skin color. That dreams, combined with determination and opportunity, can literally rewrite physics laws. That sometimes, just sometimes, the underdog doesn't just win, they soar. Today, their statue outside Lincoln High School shows young runner mid-stride, arms pumping, face set with determination. Plaque reads, "Jamal Washington, world record holder, Olympic champion, and proof that greatness can come from anywhere." But ask Jamal what he's most proud of, he'll tell you it's not the statue or records or even that magical day when he outran fastest man alive. He's most proud of scholarship program he started for inner-city kids who want to run track but can't afford proper equipment. Most proud of coaching clinic he runs every summer where he tells young athletes their circumstances don't define potential. And he's most proud his grandmother lived to see him win first Olympic gold medal, wearing the same church dress from Metro Track Festival, still clutching little American flag, still believing with every fiber that her grandson could do anything. Because in the end, that's what this story's really about. Not running fast or breaking records or proving doubters wrong. It's about power of believing in yourself when no one else will. About turning obstacles into opportunities and using every no as fuel for your yes. It's about remembering that somewhere out there, right now, there's another kid like Jamal Washington. Maybe on track, maybe in a classroom, maybe in a boardroom, or laboratory, or art studio. But they're being told they're not good enough, not fast enough, not smart enough, not right color or gender or background to achieve dreams. This story is for them, proof that lightning can strike anywhere, that greatness doesn't have zip code. And sometimes, just sometimes, impossible is just another word for not yet. So next time someone tells you that you'll never make the team, remember Jamal Washington. Remember that 14-year-old kid who turned humiliation into the most incredible display of human potential world had ever seen.
Remember that champions aren't born, they're forged in the fire of adversity, shaped by hammer of determination, polished by belief they deserve to be exactly where they are. And remember, your story, whatever it is, wherever you're writing it, is still being written. Finish line is still ahead. You never know when you might discover you've had wings all along. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of your own potential or inspired you to believe in someone else's, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories proving impossible is just another starting line. Share your own story in comments because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear they're not alone in their struggle and their dreams are worth fighting for. Until next time, keep running toward your destiny. The world is waiting to see just how fast you can fly.